She screamed. I knew right then this wasn't her first time pulling that stunt. He blinked. Once, one knee on the driveway, one hand gripping the golf cart cable, the other jabbing toward his garage outlet like it owed her something. You don't own this corner, she barked. Spit hit the cement. He didn't answer, just clicked the remote, a faint beep. Then silence. She didn't hear the camera above her head, didn't see his eyes shift, didn't notice the smile, half, dry, old. He watched her, not for fun, for timing, she had no idea, but he did. His dad never locked the garage, didn't believe in that kind of fear. He used to say, if someone's desperate enough to steal a socket, they probably need it more than I do. Then he'd wipe his hands on that same red rag, fold it just once, tuck it back in his belt. The socket was his idea. Installed it low, under the breaker, with an extra ground. Said the neighbors might want to charge their mower now and then. That was 32 years ago. The garage door still creaks the same way. The pine still smells like sweat and varnish. And the cord, the one she yanked today, still has the notch from when Caleb was 6 and ran it over with a wagon wheel. It's not just a house. It's not even about the house. It's about the man who built it with no blueprints. And the idea that something made by hand deserves more respect than things bought with a signature. So, Number Caleb didn't keep it for comfort. He kept it because someone had to. Because history doesn't argue. It waits. And it sees. He first noticed the spike on a Tuesday. Electric bills showed a surge, small but steady. Garage light flickered at night, like someone had tapped into the line. He didn't pull the plug, not yet. Instead, he watched, checked timestamps, noted patterns. 1 hour before HOA meetings, twice after sundown, same slot, same draw. He knew it was theft, but theft wasn't the problem. It was the tone, the assumption, the reach of a stranger's hand into something sacred, and acting like it was owed. He could have said something, but Caleb had learned this young. Saying something too early gives them time to lie. Waiting gives them room to reveal. So he waited. He made coffee, fed the dog, let the days pile, because some people yell to be heard, others wait to be obeyed, and Caleb, he counted the volts, and the days, and the moment she'd scream loud enough to hear herself lose. The notice came at 7:36 a.m. No knock, no call, just tape and authority, white paper, bold black text. HOA compliance violation, non-standard outlet installation, remove within 72 hours. No greeting, no signature, just an HOA stamp, like a verdict, not a question. Caleb stood there, barefoot. Coffee still hot in his hand. He read it, folded it once, slid it into the drawer under the pliers, didn't tear it, didn't reply. Just turned, slowly, toward the garage. The cord was still warm, not hot, just warm enough to confirm. Someone had been here. Again. He looked up, moved the camera by half an inch. Not much, just enough to catch the far left brick, the corner where shadows shift first. He didn't say a word, but his fingers tapped twice on the workbench, once to mark the time, once to note the game had started. The notice wasn't a surprise. HOA had done this before, 3 times, 3 different homes, always early, always unsigned, always legal enough to scare, but vague enough to avoid liability. Caleb knew the pattern, knew it wasn't about the outlet. It was a test, a flex, a bet that he'd back down. They thought he didn't know the code, thought he'd rip it out to avoid trouble, thought silence meant consent. They were wrong on all 3. He didn't answer because he wanted more proof, more names, more steps taken that couldn't be undone. The name would come soon, at the bottom of the second notice. That's when he'd move. For now, he adjusted the lens, logged the timestamp, marked the heat of the cord, and stared at the tape line where the notice had been. It peeled off clean, too clean, like someone had done this before, many times. The garage stayed open, the outlet untouched, but a line had been crossed, legally, publicly, wrongfully. They came with rules, but Caleb, he came with memory and cameras, and a reason that ran deeper than paperwork ever could. Maybe this part hit something in you, that quiet moment when someone crosses a line and acts like it's theirs. I've been there too, where silence gets mistaken for weakness, where waiting feels like the only move that still holds power. If stories like this speak to something you've lived, stay with us. There's more worth hearing. The next morning, 7:35 a.m. No alarms, no noise, just one man wiping dust from an outlet, careful, slow, like he was polishing something sacred. The garage light flicked once. The red dot on the camera stayed steady. At 7:41, he sat down, opened one folder, attached one file, no subject line, number 200, just a single line in the body. Attached, property photo, May 2002. Source, City Hall records. He hit send, closed the laptop, went back to sanding the porch rail. There was no reply. But by noon, one HOA board member quietly excused herself from Friday's meeting. No reason given, just a polite line. Conflict in schedule. The kind of line that people only write when they've just seen something they weren't supposed to see. The photo wasn't just proof, it was history. A sun-faded print of a man, Caleb's father, crouched under the breaker box, elbow deep in wires. Tool belt half open. Bandage on his right forearm. The outlet had been there before the HOA, before the meetings, before the pink flyers and bylaws and self-important memos. It wasn't illegal, it was legacy. And now, everyone on the board had a time-stamped reminder of that. From the city's own archive. Caleb didn't accuse anyone. He didn't defend himself either. He just reset the truth back where it belonged, under public record. The message wasn't loud, it was loud enough. Because when people operate in half-truths, the full truth doesn't need to shout. It just needs to show up, with documentation. He knew the ones paying attention would connect the dots. They'd see the date, the uniform his dad wore, the absence of any HOA signatures on permits back then. He also knew the others wouldn't reply. Silence is safest when your side is built on assumptions. So he let the silence hang, let it travel. Somewhere, across the neighborhood thread, someone stopped typing. Someone else started Googling. No one called Caleb, but that's how you know it worked. No noise, no denial, just quiet distance. And one camera blinking, still red, still watching, 2 weeks later. The community board changed. One new flyer, taped crooked in the corner, right side curling under from the morning sun. Reevaluation of peripheral power systems, per anonymous HOA member request. No signature, no timestamp. Just enough official language to feel like policy, and just vague enough to start a fire. No one claimed it, but everyone had the same name in their head, Caleb. Not because he said anything, but because when you say nothing, and things still move, people assume you're the one pulling strings. Melinda read it that same morning. She didn't blink, she barked. Within hours, she had an electrician on site, pacing the sidewalk with a voltmeter. By dusk, she was knocking on doors, clipboard in hand, asking neighbors to sign affidavits that non-standard outlets had been interfering with their reception. No one signed. One man closed the blinds. Another turned on his sprinklers mid-sentence. Caleb? He stayed seated, same folding chair, same distance from the garage, didn't record her, didn't call out, just tugged the power cable once, gently, and let the camera capture the sway. She didn't see it, but the current spike showed up on the smart meter 2 hours later. That cable, even when idle, pulled voltage from the panel. And that panel, still labeled under his father's name, from a city permit issued before Melinda even bought her first tennis skirt. The HOA group chat started to slow. What used to be 20 replies per thread was now 4. Most from Melinda, none from Caleb. Then came the rumor, a blurry screenshot, her yelling in front of someone's ring cam, finger pointed, lips open, wrath spilling into suburban air. People began to ask, why is she so obsessed with a plug? But Caleb didn't explain. He never had to. Because the more she acted out, the more he looked reasonable, measured, like a man just sitting in the middle of a storm, holding an umbrella no one noticed he'd built, and the flyer, still taped to the board, still curling at the edges, still anonymous, but now everyone believed it, and that was the point. It happened on a Tuesday, midday, unscheduled HOA meeting. The rec room packed tighter than usual. Folding chairs, iced tea, someone's yappy dog in the hallway. Melinda walked in first, pink tennis jacket zipped halfway, a manila folder in one hand, the other waving a petition. 12 signatures, she said, her voice sharp. Electrical interference, misuse of shared utilities, community impact. Some nodded, most just watched. Then Caleb stood. No folder, no papers. Just calmly reached for the cuff of his sleeve and buttoned it shut. 12 signatures? His voice, low, almost casual. Then I suppose 13 cameras deserve a say too. He stepped aside. The projector flickered on. First clip, April 9th. Golf cart parked in Caleb's driveway. Plugged in, engine light blinking green. Second, June 2nd. Melinda entering through the side gate, key in hand, no hesitation, no narration, just ambient sounds, the charging hum, the creak of the latch. Then, a title card. Simple white text, black background. Do you know where your HOA funds go? Silence. Not just the room, the entire air. You could feel the shift. Someone shifted in their chair. Someone else blinked too fast. Melinda opened her mouth, but before she could say anything, Mrs. Peterson spoke. 72. Always brings lemon bars. Almost never interrupts. I thought you said... She squinted. That cart ran on solar? Dead quiet. Melinda blinked, then smiled. The wrong kind. I never... You said it last spring, Mr. Gilmore cut in. Right there by the pool, I remember. Now it unraveled. Not in shouts, not in chaos, just stares. One neighbor folded their arms. Another leaned back, like watching a movie they already knew the ending to. And Caleb, still standing. Hands in pockets now. No gloating, no victory face. Because he didn't need one. He never raised his voice, never accused, just turned the lights on and let her walk into the center. The footage spoke, the timeline held, and that one old question, from the sweetest mouth in the room, cut cleaner than any confrontation ever could. Solar, huh? That was the moment the room left her, and no one even had to say it. 1 week later, Saturday noon. Sky clear like nothing ever cracked beneath it. Caleb opened the garage door. No rush, no glance to either side. He walked in, paused, reached for the sign mounted behind the fuse box. Plastic, white background, black block letters. Private outlet, do not use. He unhooked it, turned, hung up the older one. Faded oak, hand-carved edges. Property of Hank Monroe. Establishment Bindoku's Use Yetmish Dort. That was all. No sound, except the creak of old hinges settling in. A broom leaned quietly by the wall. He picked it up, brushed the floor. Not to clean, but to mark something done. Slow strokes, back and forth. Dust curling in the light, then disappearing. A dog wandered past the driveway. Small, collar rattling with each step. It paused. Looked inside the open garage. Didn't bark. Just watched, then turned and left. Behind the fence, at the base of the hydrangeas, someone had dropped a power cable, frayed at one end. Left there without a word. No one came to claim it. No one asked where it came from. No one had to. The neighborhood quiet was different now. Not stiff, not scared, just aware. Caleb didn't make a speech, didn't write a post, didn't follow up on any meetings. He just closed the garage, locked it once, then left it open again. Like before, like always. The same way his father had done it. Not because it was safe, but because it meant something. The broom leaned back in its place. The old sign hung steady. And the cable, it stayed in the grass. Not everyone fights to win. Some just wait long enough. So no one dares to touch what they've kept clean for too long. Some things don't make noise when they break, like trust, like rules written in small print, like the silence that follows a closed garage door. It wasn't justice in the courtroom kind. No headlines, no handcuffs, just a cable left in the grass and a name rehung on a wall. Sometimes it's not about being right, or loud, or faster. It's about outlasting what doesn't belong. The old sign didn't glow, didn't shout, but it stood for something that couldn't be forged, belonging earned over years. He didn't win by arguing. He won by staying still long enough for the wind to shift. Like old trees, they don't chase storms. They wait until the sky clears, then grow back into their space. What's rooted doesn't rush. It doesn't panic. It remembers. There are tools louder than words: time, precision. Knowing exactly when not to respond. Because some things, if you keep them long enough, quietly enough, they begin to protect you back. Not everything has to be defended. Some things simply need to be known.